Welcome. This is Dr. Dave Schalow, and we are here to talk about your attitude. I don't know whether it's good or bad, but after you get through this session, I guarantee it's going to be good. This is a really big deal, and you are going to be really hard pressed to be successful if you do not get this attitude thing down. Okay, first I want to give you a little history lesson. William James is generally viewed as the father of modern psychology. And he had a famous quote, which is right there: "The greatest discovery of my generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind." That's a big deal. That's where all of this sort of comes from. Some of you, I'm sure, have heard of the law of attraction, which was a popular book and movie recently. And this is also based on the idea of attitude and how your thoughts can influence your results. It's not some crackpot theory. A lot of people have dismissed the law of attraction as a joke and gimmicky and all that sort of thing. People who deny that this thing is in existence really just don't want to accept responsibility for their lives. And you need to accept responsibility. There's a really good book you should all go out and read. It's very short, relatively easy read, called Attitude is Everything. And that would be very beneficial. Some of the material on this program comes directly out of that book. And again, you'll really enjoy the book. There are basically three parts to the study of attitude and your psychology. Number one, success begins in the mind. Number two, watch your speech pattern. How you speak influences your attitude. And three, and this is what is usually left out with the idea of the law of attraction, to be successful, you have to take action. Excuse me. You have to do what you are thinking about. Thinking about it won't, just sitting around daydreaming will not get you the result you're looking for. So you want to watch what you think about. That's sort of going to dictate your attitude. Some people see the world as primarily positive. Some people see the world as primarily negative. Perfect illustration is if you show someone a half full glass of water. Some will describe it as half full, as I just did. Others will describe it as half empty. There is actually a personality issue with this. It is that distinct. They will tend to see everything either as good or everything as bad. The positive attitude is sort of, I can do this. The negative is, I can't do it. If you want to see where you fit in the cycle, if I were to give you an idea of something that you could try that would maybe change your life, start a business, for example. Some of you would see the world as, oh my gosh, I could start a business. Wow, I wonder how I can do that. That's the I can attitude. Some of you, if I asked you or brought up the idea of starting a business, you would come up with about 50 different reasons it won't work. It's not the right time. I don't have enough money. I don't know how. I know someone who did that and they lost their money. Those are the type things you see when talking about attitude. The world is basically objectively the same. The results you get are basically going to conform to what you think in advance. Henry Ford has a great quote, and it's essentially whether you believe you can or whether you believe you can't. Either way, you are right. Because if you don't think you can do it, you probably can't. If you do think you can do it, you'll figure out a way. So it's an attitude thing again. Leaders must have a positive attitude. If you want to be a leader, you can't be negative. There are very few, I don't know if there's any, and if they are, they won't last very long if they have a negative attitude. You have to believe things are going to turn out the way you want. And you control your attitude. No matter what, this is the old line, it doesn't matter what happens to you, it's how you respond to what happens to you. You control the response. You can't control what happened. Bad things happen to good people, and every other variation of that cliche you've ever heard. But you can control how you feel about it. If the weather is bad, when you wake up in the morning and look out the window and it is snowing and it's 30 below zero, you can tell I live in Wisconsin. You have a choice. You can dictate and look out the window and say it's going to be a lousy day, or you can look out the window and say it's snowing and it's 30 below, and it has no impact on you. Or you take the approach, wow, it's lousy outside, but boy, it's nice and warm in here. It's going to be fun sitting inside working all day by the fire. I'm going to get so much done. Again, the weather is the same for both of those people. It's your attitude can either serve you or it can hurt you. You have a choice. That's the important thing to understand. Happiness is a choice. How you feel about things is a choice. And the thing that triggers the starting point is your attitude. There's a line, very famous line called the Strangest Secret. 6 words: we become what we think about. Earl Nightingale was sort of my earliest mentor when I was a little kid and struggling to figure out how I was going to, survive in the world. I had a very kind of difficult childhood. My dad had MS shortly after I was born. He was 100% paralyzed by the multiple sclerosis. As a result, he couldn't work. My mom had to stay home, take care of him. She obviously couldn't work outside the home. We had basically no money, 3 kids. Again, it's hard to even describe how difficult that was and how we were going to make it through there. I had no role models. I had no idea. Neither of my parents ever went through high school. And how was I going to change my life so I wasn't going to always be in that environment? Well, I was exposed to Earl Nightingale along the way. And this, we become what we think about, really connected. The idea that if I think about how I can be successful, and I think about it all the time, and I mean all the time, I can maybe do this. And when people have asked me how I became, quote, successful, I've always come back to this Earl Nightingale and this story about, how he changed what I thought my outcome would have to be. It's a big deal. And there are lots of examples that have a variation of we become what we think about. Your dominant thoughts are the key. In fact, you could even go so far as to say the OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, is a good thing. It all depends on what you're compulsive about and obsessive about. If you are obsessive about success and accomplishing your major objective in life, that's a good thing. If you're compulsive about washing your hands, although with the virus issue, that actually could turn out to be a good thing too. But whatever it is you think about most, that's kind of what results you're going to get. The thoughts precede the actions. If you want better outcomes, you have to change how you think. Because if you change how you think, it's going to lead to different actions. It'll lead to different emotions, and based on those emotions, you'll take different actions. And those different actions will lead to better results or outcomes. There's really no exceptions to this. If you're not where you want to be from a success standpoint or financial standpoint, you can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. That's Einstein's old definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing and expecting different results. It doesn't work. So how do we change our thoughts? How do we kind of maybe improve our attitude some? One, you should all develop some kind of standard, and this is lots of verification in the literature on this. You need to be reading positive, uplifting material. Many people talk about a morning routine or a process where every day you start your day with something uplifting. For some people, that's the Bible. Some it's self-help books or personal development books. Whatever it is, you want to start positive. Don't do like most people. They turn on the news, and how positive is that going to be? You start the day feeling lousy. So every day you should probably listen in your downtime or drive time to positive material. Listen to things in your field. If you're in sales, listen to things that'll cause you improve your sales skills, whatever that is. But a daily program, you need it daily. It's like taking a shower. You don't take a shower once and then you're good to go. You need to do it every day or things deteriorate. So these type things can help. Develop a personal program where you're going to do this. And concentrated effort to think about your dominant desires. You want to, again, build it into your schedule that you're going to regularly spend time thinking and working on your goals in your life. Now, it doesn't mean your problems are going to vanish. This is no miracle cure. Jim Rohn, the kind of success philosopher, has a great saying: don't wish for fewer problems. Wish that you were better. That's the right attitude. You're always going to have problems. Until you're dead, you're going to have problems. What you need is just to be better and have more skills to be able to solve your problems. That's the key. A very good technique that'll help with this process is visualization. Again, this is not theory. Athletes and performers have been using these techniques for years. If you talk to people who win the Olympics, almost universally, they talk about they have been in that position, standing on the podium with the national anthem blaring in the background. They have been there since they were kids. They have been thinking about it, rehearsing it, visualizing how they were going to win the gold medal for many years before they actually did it. They've created a movie of the mind routine where they just visualize they always win. They always make the winning basket at the end. They always cross the finish line. This is important. You control the outcome. There's an famous old story with the movie Ben-Hur, which they play every year around Easter, where the main character, Charlton Heston, when he's talking to the director, he was really nervous because he was really not good on horses and had never driven a chariot. This is about a chariot race. The big climax in the story, if you've not seen it, is a big chariot race where they have dozens of Roman chariots racing, and his character is supposed to win. And Heston goes up to Wilder. I don't know if I can do this. I've never driven a chariot before, and I don't like horses. And Billy Wilder said, I am the director of the movie. Just like you are the director of the movie of your life. If you're the director of the movie, he told Charlton Heston, I don't care what happens here. I'm the director, and you, Ben-Hur, in the movie, you're going to win the race at the end. I'm going to see to it. That's the power of being the director. There's no way it's a fair competition in this race. You're going to win. And that's a great way to look at this power of visualization. Some practical applications. There's a lot of areas people are afraid of. Public speaking. Almost the number one fear of most people is they're scared to death of talking in public. Sales situations. Oh my gosh, I'm going to be going in. I've been a salesperson and driving around the block terrified trying to get courage to pull into the driveway and go make the sale. Reliving old failures. Oh my gosh, I failed at that in the past. I'll probably fail in the future. Goals, job success. The strategy here, you need relaxation, learn to meditate, take some time, listen to soft music, pleasant, happy music, and then sit down and visualize how you're going to succeed. You are going to do a great speech. At the end of the speech, everybody's going to clap, and some people are even going to stand up. You are so good. That's going to happen. And visualize that beforehand. In the sales application, you're going to get the sale. There's going to be a beautiful presentation. At the end, you're going to ask them, here, sign here on the form, or okay by the little X down by the signature. And they're going to do it. So whatever it is, apply the visualization techniques. It works. And you have to be careful. If you are visualizing negatives, it works both ways. If you are, I'm going to be embarrassed, I'm going to say something stupid, guess what? You will. If you don't believe you're going to get the sale, remember the Henry Ford quote. If you think you're going to get the sale or you think you're not, either way, you're right. So don't be negative. I can't emphasize that enough. Some language things, we'll talk more about this here in a little bit, but avoid the word try. Try implies that it might not work. Decide, make a decision. You're going to do it. You're not trying, you're going to do it. It's an attitude thing. It's the whatever it takes. You've probably seen the concept of plan, do, check, adjust. Well, make a plan, do it, check how it's going. If it's not working, you're not quitting. You're just going to adjust until you get it. So that's a whatever it takes. I'm going to get it. Be persistent. Again, never, never, never give up. The old Winston Churchill, World War II, when everything seemed crushing the British people, Churchill said, we're never, never, never going to give up, when everyone else was calling for them to negotiate a deal with Hitler. So persistence. Successful people have problems too. They have all the same things happen to them that happen to you. The difference is they don't let it beat them. Successful people keep driving through until they win. Again, we've talked about choice, many examples in that book on attitude is everything. There are lots of examples. Person gets dumped by a girlfriend, thinks it's the end of the world. And then you get married, meet your wife of 40 plus years. That actually happened to me, by the way. Other examples. Unhappy with his job, turned down by employer for the promotion you were hoping to get. Ticked me off so much, I turned around and told him to take a hike. Ended up with a PhD instead, and had a 30 plus year, I guess, almost working on 40, where I made a fortune because of that decision. Sometimes you have to look hard for the benefit. When I was retired, I actually retired early at the age of about 50, discovered I made a mistake, hated it, didn't like being retired. Had made a lot of money in California. Everybody told me to retire. I did, and turned out to be a disaster. I just plain hated it. So I decided I was going to unretire. I applied I had moved 1,000 miles away back to Wisconsin where I grew up. Saw a job opening at a little 2-year university and applied and thought I had the offer in hand. And then at the last minute, it was kind of taken away. And I thought that was the end of the world. My one shot. There aren't a lot of those jobs where I was living at the time, and I wasn't upset enough that I was going to move. And I thought it was the end of the world. Oh, crap. I'm not going to get that job. And within probably 2 weeks of that date, another really good position came up at a 4-year school. And guess what? I got that one. And that one paid almost twice as much. So what I thought was a big disaster turned into probably the best thing ever happened. So you never know. So keep this attitude that you don't know what is in your future. You just do the right stuff and good things will happen. Okay? Some other benefits, a lot of people, oh gosh, I don't like it when bad things happen or it's painful. No, there are benefits to that. When something bad happens, it gives you real perspective on what's important. You can choose to be grateful for the things you do have. So when you have major adversity, wow. The virus thing was a good example. Is as bad as all of that was, for a lot of people, when you were forced to spend more time at home, you got to maybe know your spouse a little more again. Spend more time with your kids. Yes, there's lots of bad things with it, but there were some good things too. Adversity brings out your potential. You will. It shows you how you need to get better. It can make you work harder, so you grow. It causes change. Change is good. The right attitude is that change is good. That's how you improve. That's how the world gets better. You learn stuff from adversity. You learn maybe what didn't work. All those things.